Louis IX of France, the saintly king who defined an era. In the annals of French history, few figures shine as brightly as Louis X, a king whose reign blended piety, justice, and valor into a legacy that endures to this day. Born on April 25, 1214, in Poissy near Paris, Louis ascended to the throne at the tender age of 12, yet he grew into one of the most revered monarchs of the Middle Ages. Known as Saint Louis, he was the only French king to be canonized by the Catholic Church, a testament to his extraordinary devotion and moral leadership. His life was a tapestry of crusades, reforms, and an unshakable commitment to his people, a story of a man who sought to rule not just with power but with righteousness, a childhood under a regent's wing. Louis IX was the fourth child of King Louis VIII and Blanche of Castile, a formidable Spanish princess whose intellect and resolve shaped her son's early years. His father's sudden death in 1206 after a brief 3-year reign thrust Louis onto the throne at age 12, with Blanche serving as regent. The young king inherited a France teetering on the edge of chaos. Nobles rebelled against the crown, and the shadow of English claims loomed large. Blanche, a shrewd and iron-willed ruler, crushed these uprisings with a blend of diplomacy and force, ensuring Louis's throne remained secure. Under her tutelage, Louis was steeped in Christian teachings, learning that a king's duty was to serve God and protect the weak, a lesson that would define his reign. By 1234, at age 20, Louis took the reins of power, marrying Margaret of Provence, a union arranged to strengthen ties with southern France. Their marriage, though politically motivated, blossomed into a genuine partnership, producing 11 children. Margaret's grace and intelligence complemented Louis's earnest piety, and together they forged a royal household rooted in faith and stability. A king of justice and compassion, Louis IX's reign, spanning 1226 to 1270, was marked by an unparalleled dedication to justice. He saw himself as God's lieutenant on earth, tasked with upholding fairness for all, from nobles to peasants. One of his most enduring reforms was the overhaul of the French legal system. He banned trial by combat, a brutal medieval practice, and established royal courts to ensure impartial rulings. His établissement codified laws, curbing the arbitrary power of feudal lords and bringing consistency to justice across the realm. Perhaps his most iconic act was the creation of the enquête, a system where royal officials investigated grievances from common folk. Louis himself often sat beneath an oak tree in the Vincennes forest, hearing petitions directly from his subjects, clad in simple robes rather than regal splendor. This image of the king under the oak became a symbol of his accessibility and compassion, earning him the love of his people. He also abolished usury, protected the poor from exploitation, and founded hospitals and leper colonies, reflecting a rare empathy for the marginalized in an age of harsh hierarchies. The Crusader king, Louis's faith drove him to the battlefields of the Holy Land, leading 2 crusades that would test his resolve and cement his legend. In 1248, he embarked on the Seventh Crusade, targeting Egypt as a strategic foothold to reclaim Jerusalem. With an army of 15,000, he captured Damietta in 1249, but victory slipped away at the Battle of Mansoura in 1250. Betrayed by shifting alliances and ravaged by disease, Louis was captured by the Ibid forces. His ransom, 400,000 livres, and the return of Damietta secured his release, but he remained in the Levant for 4 years, fortifying Christian strongholds like Acre and negotiating with Muslim leaders. His dignity in defeat won him respect even from his captors. Undeterred, Louis launched the Eighth Crusade in 1270, this time against Tunis, hoping to convert its ruler and weaken Islamic power. But fate intervened. Dysentery swept through his camp, and on August 25, 1270, Louis succumbed at age 56, dying on a bed of ashes in penance, his last words a prayer for his people. His death marked the end of an era as the crusading spirit waned in Europe, a patron of art and faith. Beyond the battlefield, Louis IX was a visionary patron whose works still grace France. His deep devotion inspired the construction of the Sainte-Chapelle in Paris, a Gothic masterpiece completed in 1248 to house the crown of thorns, which he purchased from the Byzantine emperor. Its stained glass windows, a kaleidoscope of biblical scenes, remain one of the world's architectural treasures, a testament to his faith and aesthetic sensibility. He also supported the University of Paris, fostering a golden age of theology and scholarship, and enriched the royal library with manuscripts that preserved medieval knowledge. Louis' piety was personal as well as public. He wore a hair shirt beneath his robes, fasted regularly, and washed the feet of the poor, acts of humility that stunned his court. Yet, he balanced this asceticism with a regal presence, commanding loyalty through his quiet strength and moral clarity. A complex legacy. Louis XIV's reign was not without shadows. His zeal for Christianity fueled harsh policies against Jews, including the burning of the Talmud in 1242 and restrictions on their livelihoods, reflecting the intolerance of his time. His crusades, though driven by faith, drained France's treasury and yielded little lasting gain in the Holy Land. Yet, these flaws are weighed against his virtues: his commitment to peace within Europe, seen in treaties like the 1259 Treaty of Paris with England, which ceded lands but stabilized borders, showcased his diplomatic finesse. After his death, miracles were reported at his tomb, and in 1297, Pope Boniface VIII canonized him as Saint Louis, the only French king to receive such an honor. His feast day, August 25th, is still celebrated, and his relics, once venerated, became symbols of his sanctity. The saintly king's enduring echo, Louis IX died far from home, but his spirit returned to France, buried in the Basilica of Saint-Denis among his royal kin. His reign strengthened the French monarchy, laying the groundwork for its dominance under later kings like Philip IV. Cities like St. Louis, Missouri, bear his name, a nod to his global influence through French exploration. St. Louis was a paradox, a warrior who sought peace, a king who knelt before the poor, a crusader whose greatest victory was his moral legacy. Chroniclers like Jean de Joinville, his friend and biographer, painted him as a man of unshakable faith and humanity. In an age of conquest and chaos, Louis XIV stood as a beacon of justice and compassion, a ruler whose life reminds us that true greatness lies not in power alone, but in the service of something higher. His story is not just history, it's a timeless inspiration.